So let's have a revision. Let's revise everything we've done. Number one, we talked about variable declaration, and in the course of that class, I explained to us that a variable is a container that stores value. So to create a variable, all you need to do is to give it a name, label the container. So I can label my container, let's label it content. So this is a container, and I can insert anything into this container using the equal sign. So here what I'm saying is this: I'm creating a container called content, and I'm inserting 4 into it using the equal sign. So this equal sign will help me to assign 4 as the value of this variable. So when I say print content, it will print the value or whatever is inside that container. So in this case, it will print 4. Then we also talked about the snake casing, the casing system. We talked about snake casing, camel casing, Pascal casing. So I explained that there are some situations whereby you may want to, because the thing is, a variable name should be as descriptive as possible. It should be as descriptive as possible. So for that reason, you may be forced to use more than one word as your variable name. So maybe I want this to be maybe my content. So here I have 2 words. So but then there are some rules that guide variable declaration. A variable name cannot have spaces in between. So this space is a taboo. A variable name cannot begin with a number. A variable name must not have special character except dollar and underscore. So and a variable name must not be a keyword. We have some keywords. One of them is the for. For is a keyword. So if is another keyword. A variable name must not be a keyword. Def is a keyword. So a variable name should not be all of this. Then this is already going against that rule, because this variable name has space. It has a space here, and we know that a variable name must not have spacing. So how then do we solve that problem? That leads us to data casing system. So when you are combining more than one word, you can use any of this casing system. Number one, Pascal casing. In Pascal casing, you start each word with a capital letter, like this. This is Pascal casing. We have the camel casing. In the camel casing, you begin the first word with a small letter, but every other word starts with a capital letter. Then we have the snake casing. In the snake casing, each word is separated from the next using underscore. Each word is separated from the next using underscore, like this. So this is snake casing. So that's about casing system. And I said in the course of notes. So, and I explained to us that in the course of this training, we are going to be using the snake casing. That's because it is the convention in the Python community. And I explain what conventions are. Conventions are traditions. They are like norms in that community. And if you don't follow conventions, your code will still work fine. Just that it will be a bit difficult for other developers to work with you. Please, as much as possible, follow conventions. It makes it cool. It makes it easy for other developers to work with you. So the convention in the Python community is to use the snake casing. So we're going to be using this. Let's proceed. Next, we talked about data types. Data types. We talked about the integer. So let's say I have this. This is an integer. We also talked about the floats. A number with decimal is a floating number, is a float. Whole numbers are integers. This is an integer. Why this is a float? Decimal numbers are floating numbers. Then we talked about strings. Strings are those things that you put in quotes, like this. So this is a string. Then we talked about the list. A list a list allows us to store multiple items, and each item is separated from the next item using a comma. So this is a list. This is a list. A list is inside these square braces. A list is in square braces. Then we talked about dictionary. So a dictionary, let me call it info. A dictionary is denoted with curly braces like this, and it has key value pair. The key will be in quotes, so I can say name, and the value of that key is Taye. So this is a key name, and this is the value of that key called Taye. Then the difference between these two is that when you are dealing with a list, the order matters. It really matters. If I want to see the items, if I want to see the first item in my list, I can say index 0. It's going to give me the first item in my list. If I say index 1, it will give me the second item. Then index 2 will give me the third item. Meanwhile, in dictionary, the order does not matter. The order does not matter. I can put this before this, and if I want to see the items now, I use the key. If I want to see Taye, then we are going to use the key. So this will give Taye. Then if we want to see SQI, we say school is SQI. So this is dictionary. Order does not matter here. Meaning, if this is here like this, it doesn't matter. That's because if I want to see school, if I want to see this SQI, it will still be like this. Info school. Meanwhile, in a list, order matters, because if I take this one out of this place and I put it at the beginning now, if I want to see this 8, I have to change it to index 0. So the order matters in a list. Meanwhile, in a dictionary, order does not matter. Then in a dictionary, you can't repeat items, meaning I can't have another key called school. I can't. The reason is because if I want to say info school, which one should it pick? Is it going to pick this? This? That's where the problem lies. So please don't have duplicate key. Don't have duplicate key. So then we also talked about the tuple. Let's say a tuple is denoted with this parenthesis like this. Then a tuple is unchangeable. You can't change this tuple. You can't change a tuple. Someone wants to join the class. So you can't change the items present in a tuple. Then you can also remove from a tuple. Then we also have a set. A set is denoted with this, something similar to dictionary, but instead you can, but no, this is not key value here. This is not key value here. In a set, you can't have duplicate items. 1. 2 is this. I explained to us that in a set, the items in a set are not actually arranged like this. Meaning, although this is the first item, in the real sense, it scatters it. It scatters it. When you check it, it may not be. You may realize that 23 might be at the beginning and not 12. So it scatters it, and you can't have duplicate item in a set. If I have another item called 12, this is not going to work, because since the order, in this case, the order does not matter. The order does not matter. You can't have duplicate item. Although these are arranged like this, in the real sense, the items in a set are arranged randomly. They are arranged randomly. So if you check it, you may realize that maybe 16 might be at the beginning. Another person might check it and the person will realize that maybe 23 is at the beginning. Another person might check it and the person will realize that 12 is at the beginning. So in a set, the items are arranged randomly, not according to this order. So all of these things are iterable. We can iterate over all of these things. And I think I explained to us that dictionary recently dictionary was made to be an iterable too. Before now, I think before the last version of Python, we could not iterate over a dictionary, but now we can iterate over all of this, meaning we can run a loop over all these things. We can run a loop and it will work fine. So let's now go to if statement and loop. If statement and loop, then we'll discuss functions too. If statement. Let's have a variable here. So if statement, you write your if and your conditions. So whatever condition you want to be met. Maybe I want this condition to be met. So this is the condition. This condition needs to be met. Then, if this condition is met, then it's to run the codes here. Then we talked about the if else. The if else allows us to do something else if the condition is not met. Then we have the if else if. The if else if, that is elif. The elif allows us to run multiple conditions. Maybe so it allows us to run multiple conditions. If this condition is not met, then it's to come and check this. If this is not met, then it's to do the else. So we talked about the if statement. Then we talked about the loop. The loop allows us to do something over and over again, to repeat something over and over again. So let's run this loop. For x in this, when you are running a loop expects an iterable to be here. An iterable. Then let's start with this. Let's put this here. You know, a list is an iterable. So for x in this, what do we want to do? Let's say print x. So x will first be the first value here. Then it will print x. Then x becomes the next value here. It will print 9. Then x becomes the next value here, which is 12. Then it will print 12. So when we check when we run this, when we check the terminal, you will see 8, 9, 12. Then we said we can also do something like this. We can do something like this. X will first be 0, to print 0. X becomes 1, it's going to print 1. X becomes 2, it's to print 2. X becomes 3, it's to print 3. X becomes 4. Oh, come on. X becomes 4, it's to print 4. Then I explained further by saying that instead of you writing this, you can change this to this. Python, we convert range 5 to this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Python will convert it to this. So this is shorter, and you will still achieve the same results. Then next, we said you can also create a variable here and say my variable looks like this, and I can say for x in a, so x will be the first value in a, it's going to print 1. Then x becomes the next value 3, it prints 3. Then x becomes the next value 5, then it prints 5. Then x becomes the next value 7, then it prints 7. The next is this. We talked about situations whereby you need both the index and the value. In this case, we only need value. We only need values. But then when you need index and values, then I said you can do something like this. You say len here. You now say so let's explain what this means. Length of a. The length of a here is 4. So this is like saying range 4. And we know range 4 looks like this 0, 1, 2, 3. So x will first be 0. Then if you want to print the index, you just say print x. That's if you are interested in the index. But if you are not interested in the index, if you are interested in the value at that particular position, if you are interested in the value at that particular position, then you say a index of x. So that is a index 0. That gives us 1. Like I said, you are using this method because you are interested in both the index and the value at that index. So you can just say range len A. So that is, in this case, len A is 4. That is like saying range 4, and this is range 4. X will first be 0. So if I say print x, x is 0, it's a print x. Then A index of x, since x is 0, this is the same as saying A index of 0, and that gives us 1. When it's done, x becomes the next value here. X is 1. So print x, that is 1. The A index of x, which is A index of 1, that prints 3. Then next, x becomes 2. So print x, that is 2. The A index of x, that's A index of 2, which is 5. Then next, x is 3. So print x, 3. A index of 3, that's 7. So you can easily use this approach if you are interested in both the index and the value at that index. We also talked about break and continue. I explained to us that immediately Python sees this word break, if x, let's say, equals to 2, break. So in this case, whenever Python sees this word break, it's going to terminate the loop. So once this condition is true, it will definitely terminate the loop. It will stop looping. So we can say, let's just use something like this. So x will first be 0. Is 0 equals to 2? No. It will not see this break. It's going to print x. The x becomes 1. Is 1 equals to 2? No. It's not going to see this break. It will print x. The x becomes 2. Is x equals to 2? Yes. If you see this break, then it will terminate that loop. So when we check, we only see 0 and 1. Then I also explain continue. Then the way continue works is, immediately this condition is true, it's going to skip all the codes from that point to the end of the loop. To the end of the loop. So in this case, x will first be 0. Then is this condition true? No, it's not going to see this continue. It will print x. The x becomes 1. Is this condition true? No, it will print x. The next becomes 2. Is this condition true? Yes. Because 2 is equal to 2, it will see this continue. It will. So it's going to skip all the codes from that point to the end. So it is not going to print x. It will just jump to the next one. So x becomes 3. Is this condition true? No. It will print x 4 till it gets to the end of the loop. So at the end of the day, when we run this, you won't see 2 in the terminal, because when x should be 2, we use this continue. So that's the continue keyword. So let's talk about functions. A function allows us to group codes that work together. Codes that work together should be grouped together. And also it also allows us to also repeat codes. It also allows us to. So this is a function, and so whenever I call on this function, this is what I want to do. So when we run this, we are not going to see anything. That's because a function, the codes within a function, they are only executed when you call on that function or when you trigger that function. So I can come here and trigger that function like this. This will trigger this function and do whatever code we have within that function. Then we also talk about parameterized function. Parameterized function allows me to do something like this, so that I can say, so I explained to us in that class that a parameterized function is like a super function. It's like a super function. So when you pass this here, 7 becomes the value of var. Then this prints var times 2, that's 7 times 2, that's 14. So then we also talked about the return keyword. I explained to us that day that any codes after return within a function is ignored, meaning this will be ignored. I also explained to us that you can return a value, and whatever value you return will be sent back to this exact location. It will be sent back to this exact location. So if I say this, so what you are just saying is this: when we call on this function, this 7 will be sent as the value of var. Then this will print 7 times 2, which is 14, and it will return 6. The 6 will be sent back here, and it will be assigned to A. So if I say print A, it's going to print 6. I think this is a summary of what we've done so far. Do we have any question? Do we have any question? Hello everybody. Can we hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now to today's task, please keep something in mind. A list of dictionary is very important because most of those things you'll be doing will involve list of dictionary. Please get used to this. List of dictionary. Let's end in. Taye. Then let's say school. UI. Copy. Paste. So let's now move to our classwork. We know, like I said, please get used to it. This is very common. This is a list of dictionary. If I want to say Taye, let me structure this very well to make it neater. Sorry. Okay. So if I say hey index 0, this is a index 0, I can now say, because this is a list, so I can use the index, this index 0. Inside this list we now have a dictionary. To access the items in a dictionary, use the dots. So I can say dot name. So a index 0 dot name, this will give me Taye. If I say a index 1 dot name, this will give me Kenny, because this is a index 1, this dictionary. Then inside this dictionary I can now access dot name. In fact, to make it easier to understand, you can do something like this. So a index 1 first, this is a index 1, then dot name, this is now the name. So this will give you Kenny. Do we understand this part? Now, this is what we want to do, and it's going to be classwork. It's not going to be an assignment, it's going to be classwork. Now, what we want to do is, we want to build a small application. It's going to be a messaging app. You want to chat with someone. So when you get to the application, number one, welcome the user. Something like welcome to our app. At least it's good to first welcome your users. The next, tell your users to register. Tell your users to register. At the point of registration, collect the first name, collect the last name, collect the email, and collect the password. So tell the user to supply this for information: first name, last name, email, password. Next is to log in. At the point of login, please ensure that two users don't have the same email address. You may not, for the sake of our time or for the sake of what you want to do, you may not verify. Just ensure that while you are registering a user, ensure you don't use the same email address for more than one user. Ensure that two users don't share the same email address. Just ensure that on your own while registering them. So at the point of logging in, let them log in with email and password. Again, welcome them, tell them to register, collect their first name, their last name, their email, and their password. Then tell them to log in, email, password. They will log in with this. Then lastly, tell them to drop a message. Maybe do you want to message someone? Something like they want, like I said, it's a chat app. You want to build a chat app. So tell them to, if you want to chat, tell them to pick, let's assume 4 users registered here. Again, 4 users registered here. Let's assume that 4 users registered here. So when I want to chat, I should see, maybe you can just use the first name and email address of the users. Again, 4 users are registered on my application. Then one of them decided to log in with email and password. So now I'll be assuming that one of the users has logged in. We are assuming that one of the users has logged in. So that logged in user now want to chat. Now want to send a message to others. Again, users registered. After registration, one of the users decided to log in. After logging in, the logged in user now wants to send message to other users. So what you can do is this. First, display the maybe you can just say type the email of the person you want to send message to. Type email, then now type the message. So see what you are doing. Users registered, then one of them logged in, then this logged in user now wants to chat with others. The person will first type email. You can display something like this. Type email address, maybe type the recipient. The reason we are using email address is that, remember, we assumed at the beginning that 2 users will not share the same email address. So with this email address now, I can easily target a particular user. If 2 users share the same first name and we try to use first name, then it may be a bit confusing. But since we've assumed that 2 users will not share the same email address, will not share an email address, then just tell the logged in user now to type the recipient's email address. After typing the recipient's email address, then now say type the message. Type your message. So I can type. I will type the email address of the person I want to send message to. Then I will type the message and send it. Then which feature should we add again? I think we are done. Next is to log out. So I can log out now. Sorry. Then I can see my chats. I can say messages. So under messages, I should be able to see everybody that has sent message to me. That is the email. Remember, at this particular point, there was a recipient and a message. So, but let's assume I'm the recipient. Let's assume that the logged in user is the recipient. So the logged in user should be able to see his inbox. I think inbox is better. Let's call it inbox. I should be able to see my inbox. In my inbox, I will see the sender. Don't worry if you are confused, I will explain again. Sender email address and the message sent. Message sent. Then I can log out. So let's quickly go over it again. In the application, you want to register. After registration, you can log in. After logging in, you can either chat with someone or check your inbox or log out. So if I want to chat with someone, I will select chat. Maybe it can be 1, chat with someone, 2, inbox, 3, log out, depending on how you want to do it. So but after logging in, I can chat with someone, I can check my inbox, and I can log out. So if I decide to chat with someone, I will type the person's email address, then I will type the message I'm sending. Then that's all about chatting with someone. If it's inbox, I will check. The inbox means I'm seeing all the messages, so I want to see all the messages sent to me. I want to see all the messages sent to me. So in that case, I want to see the sender. I want to know the sender and the message also. So if I check my inbox now, then just display the sender email address and the message sent. Then I can also log out. So in application, let me make it a bit easier for us to. When we get to the application, ask the user, after welcoming the user, do you want to register or log in? Something like that. So if I pick maybe 1, that means I want to register. If I pick 2, it means I want to log in. So if I pick 1 now, after registration, then I can log in. After logging in, then I can do these 3 things. I can chat with someone, I can check email address, and I can check my inbox or I can log out. Please, do we have any question as regarding this task? Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. Can we hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's start typing. Let's start typing. Let's start typing. Alright, let's start solving it. Do you have any question as regarding the task?
Ah, for me,
You said?
I will try.
Okay, please try. Please
For
try.
me, I want to try. It's not like I understand better, but I will.
Yes, but that's what I actually want to also to do. I want us to try it, and because of trying it, I know we will get it. But don't worry, just take that step. Try. Let's come again.
Okay.
In my application, when I get to the application, you welcome users. Then you ask the user what they want to do. Maybe they want to register or they want to log in. If it is registration, then the user will fill all of this information. Then the user can now choose to log in after registration. So if the user logs in, the user will log in with email and password. Then if the user wants to chat, after logging, I can choose to chat, I can choose to check my inbox, and I can choose to log out. If I want to chat, I will type the recipient's email address and the message I want to send to that recipient. Then, if I want to check my inbox, I will see the sender email address and the message from that sender. Then I can also choose to log out. That's it. Now let's get to work. I will stop recording at this point.